The grand chamber stretched above General Marcus Webb like the inside of a cathedral built by gods. 300 alien species watched from ascending tiers that spiraled up into shadows the lights could not reach. Some delegates breathed through tubes. Others floated in containment fields. A few existed as pure energy, their forms barely visible against the star field projected on the dome ceiling. Marcus stood alone in the center arena, his dress uniform pressed crisp, despite 3 months of space travel. Energy restraints hummed around his wrists, glowing red bands that burned if he moved too quickly. Ambassador. Alina Reeves sat behind a transparent barrier with 14 other members of Earth's first diplomatic mission. She wanted to shout, to protest, to do anything except sit helplessly while they judged her general like a criminal. Her hands gripped the armrest so hard her knuckles turned white, high above the arena floor. 7 massive thrones held the prime arbiters. These beings represented the ultimate authority in known space. Their word was law across thousands of worlds, and they were staring at Marcus's Webb like he was an insect that had crawled into their palace. Arbiter Vorn spoke first. His crystalline body pulsed with light as his voice filled the chamber through translation fields. Every species heard him in their own language. A technological miracle that only reminded Alina how far behind Earth truly was. The human known as Marcus Webb stands accused of violence against a member of this council. 5 cycles ago, during the greeting ceremony at Station Helios Nine, this creature struck high, Chancellor Krell of the Drothus Imperium. A hologram materialized in the center of the arena. Alina watched the recording play out for what felt like the 1000th time. Marcus in his dress uniform, hand extended for a handshake. Chancellor Krell, a towering reptilian being with 4 arms and scales that shimmered like oil. Leaning down to whisper something, then Krell's hand lashing out, striking Marcus across the face hard enough to knock him sideways. What happened next took less than 2 seconds. Marcus recovered his balance. His right leg snapped up in a kick that connected with Krell's midsection. The Chancellor collapsed, gasping for air. This unprovoked assault on a council member cannot be tolerated, Vorn continued. Humanity applied for membership in our civilization. Instead, you have proven yourselves violent and primitive. Alina shot to her feet despite knowing the barrier would prevent her voice from carrying. Unprovoked? Your footage clearly shows Chancellor Krell struck first. Vorn's crystalline form flashed an angry red. Silence. The Chancellor's corrective strike was justified. Your general attempted physical contact with bare flesh. The Drethus find such gestures deeply offensive. General Webb was warned of proper protocols. His retaliation was criminal assault. Marcus remained perfectly still. At 63 years old, he had survived 3 wars on Earth. He had negotiated with dictators and terrorists. He had seen humanity at its worst and best. But nothing in his experience prepared him for this kind of political theater. They had set him up, deliberately provoked him, created the exact incident they needed to justify whatever they planned next. Another arbiter spoke. A floating mass of tentacles named Quill. We've reviewed humanity's application for council membership. The decision is final. Your species is unsuitable, too aggressive, too unpredictable. You will return to your home system immediately. Alina felt her stomach drop. You cannot isolate an entire species because of one incident. Can, Vorn replied simply. We have placed automated defense stations around your solar system. Any human vessel that crosses those boundaries will be destroyed without warning. This quarantine is permanent. The chamber filled with clicking, whistling, and electronic sounds as 300 species registered their approval. Alina realized with growing horror that this was not a trial. It was a sentencing. The decision had been made before they ever arrived. General Webb will remain here as our prisoner, Quill announced. 60 cycles in a correctional facility. This will ensure humanity's compliance with the quarantine. If Earth attempts any aggressive action, the general will face execution. Marcus finally spoke, his voice calm and measured despite the restraints burning his wrists. Before you struck me, Chancellor, Krell said something. He whispered that humanity was nothing but insects, and you would teach us to crawl. The chamber erupted in protests. Delegates shouted in languages that hurt Elena's ears even through the race translation fields. Vorn raised a crystalline appendage for silence. The private words of a chancellor are irrelevant. Your physical violence is what matters. The sentence is final. Take him away. Energy fields flared brighter around Marcus. As automated systems began dragging him toward an exit portal, he locked eyes with Elena. She saw something in his expression that made her blood run cold. Not fear, not even anger. Just a calculating look like a chess player who had seen 20 moves ahead. His lips moved, forming two words without sound. Tell them. Then he was gone, pulled through the portal. By machines that cared nothing for human dignity. The human delegation was escorted back to their ship under armed guard. Alien soldiers in powered armor flanked them through corridors that seemed designed to make visitors feel small. Elena walked in a daze, her mind struggling to process what had just happened. They came seeking peace and partnership. Instead, they found humiliation and imprisonment. Back on their ship, the 15 members of Earth's diplomatic mission sat in stunned silence as they passed through the Council's defensive perimeter. Lieutenant Commander Jackson Pierce was first to break the quiet. Right, they set us up. Krell deliberately provoked Marcus, knowing we would be blamed. This was planned from the start. It does not matter what they planned, Elena replied bitterly. We are trapped. They have Marcus. They have defensive arrays that could vaporize our entire fleet. 300 species voted unanimously against us. Thomas Park, their communications officer, looked up from his console. Ambassador, Earth is requesting immediate contact. The Security Council wants a full report. Lena nodded slowly. Open a channel. And someone find out what Marcus meant? Tell them what. Over the next 2 days, as their ship accelerated toward home, Elena reviewed every conversation she had with Marcus during their journey. The man was methodical, always prepared. He studied every species, every protocol, every possible scenario. She found it in his personal logs, encrypted, but left accessible with her command codes. A video recording. Time-stamped from 3 days before they arrived at the council, Marcus appeared on screen. Wearing casual clothes and sitting in what looked like his quarters. Elena, if you are watching this, things have gone badly. I spent the last year studying the Galactic Council, their procedures, their history, their patterns. They do this. They find promising new species and test them, humiliate them, force them to accept a subordinate position or disappear entirely. He leaned forward, his eyes intense. But they do not understand humanity. We evolved as persistence hunters. We do not give up. We do not forget. And we sure as hell do not forgive easily. I compiled everything about the Council species, their homeworlds, trade routes, military capabilities, weaknesses, not to attack them, but because knowledge is survival. Marcus paused, choosing his next words carefully. If they take me, if they try to cage all of humanity, you tell Earth something. You tell them that I bought them time. Time to prepare. Time to build. Time to become what we need to be. Tell them one more thing. His expression hardened. The galaxy wanted to see us crawl. Let us show them how predators hunt. The recording ended. Elena sat in darkness, her mind racing. She thought about Earth's industrial capacity, capable of converting entire economies in a single generation. She thought about humanity's history of warfare and innovation. She thought about what happens when you give 4 billion people a common enemy in time to prepare. Then she opened a channel 2, Earth, and began her report. 3 months later, Marcus sat in his prison cell on Council Station Epsilon, watching ships come and go through his narrow window. The facility held criminals from across the galaxy. He had been forgotten by the Council, just another prisoner in their vast bureaucracy. But Marcus was not idle. He watched guard rotations, studied automated systems, made careful friendships with other inmates. On day 93, Chancellor Krell visited his cell.
Ow.
I wanted to see the caged ape, Krell said smugly. I wanted to know if your species understands its place yet. Marcus stood slowly. Do you know what humanity's greatest weapon is, Chancellor? Krell laughed. Your primitive railguns. Your chemical rockets? Spite, Marcus replied. Give us a reason, and we will move mountains out of pure spite. Then you will die spiteful and alone. Chancellor Marcus called as Krell turned to leave. Do you know what today is? Exactly 100 days since you struck me. Since you gave 4 billion humans a reason to unite, tell me, what can a motivated species accomplish in 100 days? Krell stormed away, but Marcus saw it. The first flicker of doubt in those reptilian eyes. The United Earth Assembly met in emergency session 12 hours after Elena's ship entered the solar system. Military vessels escorted them not as prisoners, but as bearers of devastating news. 200 delegates from every nation gathered in Geneva, watching holographic footage of Marcus's trial in absolute silence. When it ended, E chamber exploded with shouting. Secretary General David Okonkwo finally restored order. Ambassador Reeves, what are our options? Alina stood before them, exhausted but clear-eyed. The Council operates on hierarchical power. They saw us as weak and primitive. They used a minor incident to justify isolating us. If we accept quietly, we become a quarantined species forever. If we resist openly, 300 species with superior technology will crush us. Then we have no choice, someone called out. No, Alina activated Marcus's recording. We have purpose. The debate raged for 3 days. Some nations wanted to accept the quarantine and focus on internal development. Others demanded immediate military action to rescue Marcus. But Dr. Richard Hamilton, Earth's chief scientist, provided a different path. They quarantined us based on assumptions about our technology, Hamilton explained, displaying star charts. They placed automated defensive buoys at our solar system's edge with orders to destroy any human vessel. But those defenses detect specific energy signatures. Mass. Faster than light engine emissions. Every species uses variations of the same basic technologies they have shared for millennia. Okonkwo leaned forward. What are you suggesting? That we innovate freely? The Council thinks our primitive technology is weakness. But it is actually strength. We have no preconceptions. No established scientific orthodoxy holding us back. Can we build ships they cannot detect? Alina asked. Hamilton smiled. In a year? Absolutely. The decision was unanimous. Earth would publicly comply with the quarantine while secretly developing revolutionary technology. The project was named Operation Phantom. Every nation contributed resources. Orbital shipyards operated continuously. Fusion reactors powered massive manufacturing facilities. Earth's greatest minds joined research teams with a single goal: build invisible ships. The breakthrough came from Dr. Amara Ase, a physicist who proposed abandoning conventional faster-than-light drives. Instead of warping space, her team developed quantum tunneling that briefly phased ships into an adjacent dimensional layer. We do not hide from their sensors, she explained. We stop existing in the space they scan. The first prototype nearly destroyed itself. The second test succeeded for 12 seconds. The third test maintained phase displacement for 6 hours. By month 4, they had a working vessel. By month 5, they built 3. Commander Jessica Hart stood in the hangar bay of Earth's first stealth warship. The vessel had only a designation, Phantom 1. Its hull absorbed electromagnetic radiation across every spectrum. Its weapons delivered devastating firepower in short bursts. Before phasing back into dimensional displacement, Jessica's crew numbered 15. Volunteers who understood they might never return. Her pilot, Marcus Chen, was a test pilot with more hours in experimental craft than anyone alive. Her tactical officer, Lieutenant Kenji Sato, was a game theorist who specialized in asymmetric warfare. Alina visited the hangar the night before launch. General Webb asked us to show them how we hunt. You are the answer. You are humanity's predators. Jessica saluted. We will bring him home. More than that, Alina replied. You will show the galaxy that humanity cannot be caged. The 3 Phantom ships phased into dimensional displacement 20. million kilometers from the Council's defensive perimeter. Their sensors showed the automated buoys, massive stations bristling with weapons. Beginning phase transition, Marcus Chen announced. The ship shuddered as it slipped between dimensions. Stars outside the viewport took on an eerie, distorted quality. They passed through the defensive line undetected. The journey to Council. Station Epsilon took 2 weeks. Moving cautiously through patrolled space, they watched Council military vessels pass within kilometers, completely oblivious to the human ships phasing in and out of normal space. Jessica studied intelligence. Marcus had smuggled out using coded messages in his reading, material requests, frequency patterns of energy barriers, guard schedules, detention level layouts, sensor array locations. He has been planning his escape since day one, Kenji observed. He has been planning our attack, Jessica corrected, as they approached the station. They intercepted Council communications. What they heard changed everything. The Council was not unified. 3 major factions existed among the 300 species. The Dominion bloc, led by Chancellor Krell, advocated aggressive expansion and subjugation. The Conservation Alliance wanted to protect developing civilizations through isolation. The Trade Federation simply wanted new markets. Humanity's quarantine was a political compromise, orchestrated by the Dominion bloc to demonstrate power. They used us, Marcus Chen said quietly. Our entire species was a pawn in their politics. Jessica's jaw tightened. Then let us become something they never expected. Inside Council Station Epsilon, Marcus Webb had spent 3 months earning trust from 4 key inmates. Crix, an insectoid who knew the station's infrastructure. Dalna, a Thalax engineer, imprisoned for technology theft. Rook, a Vren pilot jailed for smuggling. And Hila, a Quilix hacker, caught infiltrating Council databases. Together, they represented skills that should never have been placed in one location. Guard rotation changes in 6 hours, Marcus whispered during a brief monitoring gap. Crix, can you access the ventilation system? If I dismantle my waste recycler, yes, Crix clicked.
Ella.
You said the station's AI has a monitoring blind spot. 2 seconds every 47 minutes when it consolidates data, Hela confirmed. Not enough time for anything significant. Marcus smiled. Enough time to send a signal. Through his narrow window, he watched a distant star flicker in a pattern that should be random. 3 long pulses. Too short. 3 long so's in Morse code. A human signal. They had come. Aboard Phantom 1. Jessica watched her tactical display update with the signal's precise location. Target confirmed. General Webb is ready. All ships assume extraction positions. 3 ghost ships maneuvered around Council Station Epsilon. Invisible to sensors, unknown to hundreds of Council personnel aboard. In 6 hours, humanity would announce its presence to the galaxy, and the galaxy would learn what it meant to provoke a species evolved to hunt. Security. Chief Vax reviewed daily reports on Council Station Epsilon with the boredom of someone who had done this job for 20 cycles. The prisoners were secured. Automated systems functioned perfectly. Nothing ever happened on a prison station. At exactly 0347 station time, Cell Block 7 experienced a brief power fluctuation. 0.02 seconds. Barely enough to register on monitoring systems. Vax dismissed it as another diagnostic hiccup. He did not notice that in that fraction of a second, 5 cell doors received an unauthorized unlock command. Marcus Webb moved the moment his energy barrier flickered and died. His muscles remembered this feeling, the rush of action after months of forced patience. He crossed his cell in 3 strides and entered the narrow corridor. Crix emerged simultaneously from the adjacent cell, his insectoid limbs carrying a makeshift device cobbled from his waste recycler. We have 90 seconds before the monitoring AI flags the discrepancy, he clicked. They moved in practiced silence. Dalna joined them, carrying circuit boards salvaged from her cell's lighting. Rook and Hila completed the team, falling into formation as if they had drilled this escape for months, because they had in their minds. During whispered conversations, When monitoring systems cycled through diagnostic routines, "First checkpoint in 30 meters, Marcus whispered. 2 guards, automated turrets, biometric scanner. The scanner will identify you immediately," Hela pointed out. Marcus smiled coldly. "I am counting on it." They rounded the corner to find the checkpoint exactly as Marcus described. 2 Corvin guards in powered armor stood beside a security desk. Mounted turrets tracked movement through infrared sensors. Marcus stepped into view alone, hands raised. "Prisoner escape in cell block 7. One guard shouted, reaching for his weapon. The turret swiveled toward Marcus, and then the station's lights died. "Aboard Phantom 1, Jessica Hart gave the command. "Initiate electromagnetic pulse. Localize Block 7 only." The ship phased into normal space for exactly 3 seconds, positioning within 50 meters of the station's hull. An EMP pulse, precisely calibrated to penetrate the station's shielding, but not spread beyond the target area. Washed through cell block 7. Every electronic system crashed simultaneously. Light, turrets, biometric scanners, communication arrays. For the first time in 30 cycles, cell block 7 was dark and silent. Emergency backup systems should activate within 5 seconds. They did not, because Hela's virus uploaded during that earlier 2-second monitoring gap corrupted the backup initialization protocols in the darkness. Marcus and his team moved, the Corvin guards trained for many scenarios. Fighting in complete darkness against unknown assailants was not one of them. Marcus dropped the first guard with a strike to a neural cluster Crix identified as a weakness. Rook, moving with natural Varin agility, disarmed the second guard before he could activate his armor's emergency beacon. "Clear," Marcus announced. "Crix, we need power rerouted to this section only. Can you override the backup lockdown?" "If I can reach the maintenance junction, yes. But that is 3 levels down. Then we make a path. Move." In the station's command center, alarms blared as multiple systems reported failures. Station Commander Drex stared at his displays in disbelly. "F-Cell Block 7 is completely dark. Multiple prisoners unaccounted for. Emergency systems not responding. Deploy security teams immediately," Drex ordered. "And scan for unauthorized ships. This is too coordinated to be a simple power failure." Sensors swept space around the station, searching for anomalies. They found nothing but cosmic background radiation and distant starlight. Phantom 1, 2, and 3 held position in dimensional displacement, watching the station's frantic response through passive sensors. "They are searching," Marcus Chen reported to Jessica. "But they are searching in the wrong dimension. Maintain phase displacement. We extract the general in 20 minutes. Weapons hot but hold fire unless necessary. We are not here to start a war, just finish one," Kenji muttered from his tactical station. Marcus's team descended through maintenance shafts, a network of narrow passages designed for automated repair drones, not living beings. The space was cramped, dark, and claustrophobic, perfect for evading security teams now flooding cell block 7. Council's security protocols are designed around containment, not pursuit, Marcus explained as they moved. They expect prisoners to try reaching hangar bays or communication arrays. They do not expect prisoners to go deeper into the station, because that would be insane, Downa panted, struggling through a narrow junction. "We are trapping ourselves. No, we are positioning ourselves exactly where we need to be." They reached the maintenance junction, a cramped room filled with the station's primary power routing systems. Crix immediately began interfacing with the controls, his nimble limbs dancing across alien technology. "This design is Quillic standard? Efficient but predictable. I can reroute power to create a corridor of functional systems leading exactly where we want." "Where do we want?" Rook asked. Marcus checked a chronometer salvaged from a guard. "Hangar Bay 3. In 18 minutes. "That bay is for VIP shuttles only," Hela protested. "It will be heavily guarded. It's not if the entire security force is searching for us in the opposite direction." "Crix, make them chase ghosts." Understanding dawned in Crix's compound eyes. He began inputting commands, creating cascading power fluctuations throughout the station. Each fluctuation triggered security alerts in different sections, sending guards rushing to investigate phantom breaches. Remarkable, Crix clicked appreciatively. You are using their security protocols against them. They cannot ignore potential escapes, so they must investigate every alert. Humans call it misdirection. Magicians and soldiers use the same principle. Make them look where you want them to look. Hangar Bay 3 was indeed lightly guarded, with only a skeleton crew maintaining luxury shuttles reserved for high-ranking council officials. Marcus's team entered through a maintenance access point, merging behind storage containers, while the bay's 3 guards patrolled the main entrance. Now what? Delna whispered. We steal a shuttle and hope to outrun council interceptors. No, now we trust that humanity keeps its promises. He stepped into the open hangar bay, deliberately triggering motion sensors. Alarms began sounding immediately. The 3 guards turned, raising weapons. Freeze, prisoner. Return to your cell immediately. Marcus stood perfectly still, arms at his sides. I am General Marcus Webb of Earth, and I am going home. The guards advanced cautiously above them. Space began to twist. Phantom 1 phased into normal space directly above the hangar bay. But it did not enter. Instead, it deployed a specialized extraction field. Technology reverse-engineered from council tractor beams, but modified to work in quantum layers to the guards. It appeared as if Marcus and his 4 companions simply dissolved into streaks of light, pulled upward through the hangar's roof, as if by an invisible hand. The guards stood frozen, weapons pointed at empty air. Unable to process what they just witnessed, Marcus materialized on Phantom 1's extraction pad, his molecules still tingling from quantum rematerialization. He found himself facing Commander Jessica Hart, who snapped a crisp salute. General Webb, sir. On behalf of Earth, welcome home. Marcus returned the salute, then allowed himself a rare smile. Commander, your timing is impeccable. Behind Marcus, his 4 companions materialized, looking equally disoriented. Crix's compound eyes swiveled frantically. Dalna clutched at solid surfaces for balance. Rook's feathers stood on end, and Hela's luminescent skin pulsed erratically. What was that? Hela managed to ask. That was a rescue, Marcus replied. Jessica's expression became serious. General, we need to move. The station is going to full alert in 90 seconds. Once they realize you were extracted by an unknown ship, they will lock down this entire sector. Then I suggest we not be here when that happens. But first, we need to discuss these 4. They helped me escape. They cannot stay, or the council will execute them. Jessica nodded. We have space. But General, we are about to cause a significant diplomatic incident. Marcus's smile turned predatory. Commander, I have spent 3 months thinking about what I want to say to the Galactic Council. Trust me, a diplomatic incident is exactly what I have in mind. The 3 phantom ships vanished from normal space as if they never existed, leaving Council Station. Epsilon's sensors confused in their security forces chasing shadows. The transmission from Marcus Webb played on every screen in the United Earth Assembly's Emergency Command Center. 200 delegates watched in stunned silence as their general, supposedly imprisoned 300 light-years away, addressed the entire galaxy from a ship that should not exist when it ended. The chamber erupted in chaos. Secretary General David Okonkwo raised his hand for silence. It took 3 attempts before order was restored. Ambassador Reeves, you coordinated this operation? What are our options now? Alina stood at her station, her face pale but determined. We have approximately 72 hours before the Council mobilizes a response. In that time, we need to complete Operation Phantom's 2nd phase, which is, Okonkwo demanded. We make good on General Webb's warning. We show the galaxy we are not bluffing. Dr. Richard Hamilton activated a holographic display showing Earth's orbital shipyards. We currently have 18 Phantom-class vessels operational. Another 37 are in various construction stages. But projections show we can have over 200 completed within 6 months if we convert all available resources. 200 ships against the Council's tens of thousands? Someone protested. That is suicide, unless our ships are invisible to their sensors, immune to their tracking. capable of striking from dimensional angles they cannot defend against, Hamilton countered. Throughout human history, technological advantage has repeatedly overcome numerical superiority. Okonkwo leaned forward. Are you suggesting we actually go to war? No, Alina interjected. I am suggesting we show them why going to war with us would be their worst mistake. The Council operates on overwhelming force and political unity. We need to undermine both. She pulled up intelligence reports gathered by the Phantom ships. The Council is not as unified as they appear. 3 major factions exist. The Dominion Bloc wants to conquer us. The Conservation Alliance wants to isolate us. The Trade Federation wants to exploit us. We need to turn those factions against each other. Marcus Webb's face appeared on their communication array, transmitted from Phantom 1, by giving each faction exactly what they fear most about the others. Madam Secretary General, members of the Assembly, I apologize for taking such bold action without authorization. But I have spent 3 months analyzing the Council's political structure. I know how to break them, General. You have just painted a target on all of humanity. With respect, sir, the Council painted that target the moment they quarantined us. I simply made sure they understand the cost of pulling the trigger. In the Grand Chamber, an emergency session convened. 300 species representatives argued over humanity's transmission, each faction interpreting Marcus's words through their own political lens. Chancellor, Krell addressed the assembly with barely controlled rage. This is an act of war. The humans have developed stealth technology, violated our quarantine, and threatened the Council's authority. We must respond with immediate military force. Arbiter Vorn raised a crystalline appendage in objection. Rushing into military conflict with an unknown capability is precisely what they expect. We have no intelligence on how many stealth vessels they possess or what weapons they carry. The prudent action is to reinforce the quarantine and study this new threat. Representative Korn of the Trade Federation proposed a third option. Military action is expensive and risky. Enhanced quarantine is wasteful. I propose we negotiate. The humans clearly have valuable technology. Perhaps we can reach an agreement that benefits all parties. The debate raged for hours, with each faction unable to achieve consensus, exactly as Marcus predicted. They are paralyzed by their own political structure, he explained to his crew aboard Phantom 1. The Council cannot act decisively because any major decision requires approval from all 3 factions. We have bought ourselves time. Time for what? Jessica Hart asked. Time to make allies. The 4 prisoners Marcus rescued became humanity's secret weapon. Each represented a species with grievances against the Council, and each had connections Earth could exploit. Crix contacted resistance movements within the Dominion Bloc, species who chafed under Drathusel. Ittership. Delna reached out to species in the Conservation Alliance, who questioned the morality of keeping others in technological darkness. Rook contacted smugglers throughout the Trade Federation who would profit from bypassing Council restrictions. Gila did something far more dangerous. She began leaking classified Council documents to independent news networks across the galaxy. We are not fighting the Council militarily, Elena explained to the Assembly. We are fighting them informationally. Every species they have ever quarantined, every planet they have exploited, every political decision that benefited the powerful at the expense of the weak, it is all becoming public knowledge. The galaxy began learning the truth about its government. 6 days after Marcus's transmission, something unprecedented occurred. The Quellan Collective, a minor species in the Conservation Alliance, withdrew from the Galactic Council, their statement broadcast. Across known space, we joined the Council seeking protection and prosperity. Instead, we found exploitation and control. The human species has shown us that resistance is possible. We choose freedom over security. The announcement sent shockwaves through the galaxy. If one species could leave, others might follow. Within hours, 17 more species announced they were reconsidering their membership. Chancellor, Krell mobilized military vessels to the Quellan home system, intending to make an example. His fleet numbered 47 warships, more than enough to blockade a single planet. Marcus Webb, watching from Earth, made a decision, Commander Hart. Take Phantom 1 through 20 and position them around Quellan space. We are going to show the galaxy what happens when bullies meet predators. So we would be engaging 47 Council warships with 20 stealth vessels. Even with our technological advantage, the risk is enormous. The risk is calculated. The Quellans stood up for their freedom. We cannot abandon them. The Council fleet arrived at the Quellan homeworld expecting easy subjugation. Instead, they found their sensors going haywire as unidentified ships appeared and disappeared. Across multiple dimensions, phantom vessels phased in, fired precisely targeted strikes at shield generators and weapon systems, then phased out before return fire could track them. The Council ships found themselves fighting ghosts, unable to predict where the next attack would come from. Within 3 hours, 17 Council vessels were disabled, their crews unharmed, but their ships powerless. Not a single shot was fired at the Quellan planet Marcus. Broadcast a message to the remaining Council ships. You came here to intimidate a species choosing freedom. You failed. Return to your Council and tell them that humanity protects those who stand against tyranny. We do not seek war, but we will not tolerate oppression. Choose wisely. The Council fleet withdrew. Across the galaxy, footage spread. 20 ships defeating 47. Humans fighting to protect an alien species they had never met. A military victory without casualties on either side. The message was clear. Humanity was powerful, principled, and protective of freedom. 13 more species announced their withdrawal from the Council. The United Earth Assembly's command center had become the nerve center of an improvised resistance. Screens displayed real-time positions of over 800 vessels converging on the Sol system from across the galaxy. Blue markers indicated friendly forces. Red markers showed Chancellor Krell's armada. The numbers were stark. Krell commanded 400 advanced warships crewed by species with centuries of spacefaring experience. Humanity's defenders numbered 426 vessels, but most were light transports, civilian ships, or outdated military craft from minor species. Only Earth's 53 Phantom vessels represented cutting-edge technology. Admiral Rachel Torres studied the tactical display grimly. She commanded Earth's conventional fleet, 28 vessels converted from exploration and mining ships. We are outnumbered in every category except determination. Marcus Webb studied the approaching armada from Phantom 1, now serving as flagship for the entire defensive operation. His 4 alien companions stood beside him, having refused to remain safe on Earth. Crix, you served in the Drathis military. How will Krell deploy his forces? The insectoid engineer's compound eyes studied the approaching armada. Standard Council doctrine? Heavy cruisers in front formation to absorb initial fire, destroyers flanking to prevent enemy maneuvers, carriers and rear deploying fighter screens. It is a formation designed to overwhelm through superior firepower and durability, designed to fight enemies who play by the same rules. What is its weakness? There is no weakness. This formation has been refined over 1,000 cycles. It counters every known tactical response. Marcus smiled. Then we will use an unknown one. Lena Reeves coordinated with representatives from 37 different species. A diplomatic nightmare of translation protocols and cultural misunderstandings. But slowly, a unified command structure emerged. The Quellan fleet had experience with asymmetric warfare. The Thalax vessels carried advanced shield technology they were forbidden from sharing under Council regulations, but now freely offered. The Vren smugglers knew every hidden approach vector to the Sol system, and the Quillix hackers, led by Gila, had a surprise that could change everything. The Council's military network uses standardized communication protocols, Gila explained, her luminescent skin pulsing with excitement. Every ship shares a common technological foundation. During my infiltration of Council systems, I discovered something interesting. The encryption changes, but the underlying architecture does not. You can hack their ships? Admiral Torres asked incredulously. Not exactly, but I can introduce confusion. Sensor ghosts. False targeting data. Communications disruptions. Nothing that will disable them, but enough to make them question what they are seeing. Marcus nodded slowly. Information warfare combined with dimensional phase tactics. We do not need to destroy Krell's fleet. We need to make him believe he is facing a force far larger and more dangerous than we actually are. 48 hours before Krell's expected arrival, the defensive fleet reached the Sol system. Ships of every size and configuration took up positions according to Marcus's battle plan. The phantom vessels distributed themselves throughout the formation, visible to sensors, ready to phase in and out at critical moments. On Earth, 4 billion people watched the skies. Every news network broadcast continuous coverage. Children drew pictures of the alien ships protecting their world. Artists created murals, showing unity across species. Aboard the Quellan flagship, Captain Jorn addressed his crew. 1,000 cycles ago, our ancestors were conquered by a species that believed might equaled right. 700 cycles ago, we joined the Council seeking protection, only to find we had simply changed masters. Today we have the chance to prove that freedom is worth fighting for. Whatever happens, we make our stand here. His crew responded with a roar that echoed across communication channels, heard by every ship in the defensive fleet. Marcus listened and recognized it. The same sound he heard in military bases across Earth before every major operation. The sound of warriors accepting their fate, whatever it may be. We are outnumbered and outgunned, he broadcast to the entire fleet. The Council expects us to surrender or be destroyed. They have calculated victory based on their superior technology and numbers. But they have made a critical error. They assume that power comes from weapons and ships. We know different. Power comes from the willingness to stand firm when standing firm is the hardest choice. Today, we teach the galaxy that lesson. The fleet responded with messages in hundreds of languages, all meaning the same thing: we stand ready. The Council Armada dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Sol system in perfect formation. 400 warships, their hulls gleaming with the authority of the galaxy's most powerful government. Chancellor Krell broadcast from his flagship, a massive dreadnought named Dominion's Fist, to the humans and their allies. You have 1 hour to disperse. Return to your home systems and accept the Council's authority. Failure to comply will result in the destruction of this entire defensive fleet and the bombardment of the third planet. This is your only warning. On Earth, the Assembly held an emergency vote. The result was unanimous. Secretary General Okonkwo broadcast the response. Chancellor Krell, humanity declines your generous offer. We have stood firm for 3 months. We will stand firm today. If you wish to test yourself against us, you will find we are ready. Krell's response was immediate. So be it. All vessels, advance. Prepare to engage enemy forces on my command. A wall of weapons and shields moving inexorably toward Earth. Marcus watched from Phantom One's tactical display. Now we begin. The Council fleet expected a conventional engagement. What they got was chaos. The moment Krell's forces crossed the inter-system boundary, Hela activated her surprise. Every Council ship suddenly detected 1,000 additional vessels surrounding them. Sensor readings showing impossible numbers of enemy craft at every vector. Sensor ghosts. Krell's tactical officer reported frantically, "We are reading 2,000 enemy vessels, but visual confirmation shows only 400. Override the sensors. Trust visual targeting only," Krell ordered. But by then, the Phantom ships phased into normal space at point-blank raw. Eng, launching precision strikes against shield generators. The shields collapsed, leaving ships vulnerable. Then the Phantom vessels vanished again, phasing out before return fire could track them. The Quellan. Ships darted in using tactics learned from generations of guerrilla warfare. They did not try to destroy the Council vessels, only to disable engines and weapons. The Thalax used their advanced shields to protect smaller allied ships. The Vren smugglers led Council destroyers on chases through the asteroid belt, using hidden paths to trap pursuers, and Earth's conventional fleet did something unexpected. They rammed Admiral Torres's flagship, Converted mining vessel with reinforced armor accelerated directly at a Council heavy cruiser. At the last moment, she activated mining lasers designed to cut through asteroids, burning through the cruiser's bridge before veering away. For Earth, for humanity, for freedom, her fleet followed her example. 28 improvised rams sowing chaos in Krell's perfect formation. 30 minutes into the battle, Krell realized he was losing. Not in ships destroyed, but in control. His formation had collapsed. His ships fought independently, unable to coordinate against an enemy that appeared and disappeared at will. All vessels fall back to defensive positions. Reform the battle line. But his crews were beyond listening. They saw enemies everywhere. They fired at sensor ghosts, while real threats phased in behind them. Marcus watched the Council fleet's dissolution with professional satisfaction. This is how you defeat a superior force. You make them defeat themselves. But then something changed. Chancellor Krell, unable to win the battle, made a decision that would haunt him forever. All vessels disengage from combat. Redirect all weapons to bombardment pattern. Target the third planet. If we cannot control humanity, we will eliminate them. Every ship in the defensive fleet received the communication. Marcus felt ice in his veins as he watched 200 Council vessels turn toward Earth and begin charging their main weapons. They would not, Jessica whispered. 4 billion people? They would. And they will, unless we stop them in the next 90 seconds. Marcus made a decision no military commander should ever face. All Phantom vessels, Phase 2 maximum power, full offensive. Every shot counts. Sir, if we push the phase drives to maximum output, they will burn out. We will be visible to their sensors. I know. Do it anyway. 53 Phantom ships phased into normal space simultaneously. Surrounding the Council vessels targeting Earth, they fired every weapon at maximum yield. It's no longer concerned with precision. They burned their phase drives, their stealth systems, everything that made them ghosts in a single desperate assault. 17 Council vessels exploded. 40 more lost power completely. The bombardment pattern collapsed. But the cost was immediate. Council vessels returned fire. Without phase displacement, the Phantom ships were vulnerable. Phantom 7 took a direct hit and disintegrated. Phantom 13 lost its engines. Phantom 28's crew evacuated as their ship broke apart. Marcus watched his fleet die to save Earth and knew it was necessary. But then, impossibly, reinforcements arrived. 300 new ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Not improvised civilian vessels, but proper military craft. Sleek, modern, dangerous. Identify yourselves, Krell demanded, his voice betraying desperation. The response came from multiple sources simultaneously. Species that remained in the Council, but secretly built their own fleets. Species that were thought loyal but had spent decades preparing for this moment. We are the ones you oppressed. We are the species you exploited.
We are the
civilizations you suppressed. We stand with humanity. The Council fleet was now outnumbered 2-1. Krell's remaining vessels were damaged, disorganized, and surrounded. Marcus broadcast one final message. Chancellor Krell, order your fleet to stand down. You have lost. Not because we destroyed you, but because you destroyed yourselves the moment you chose oppression over justice. Surrender, and we allow your crews to return home safely. Continue, and the galaxy will remember the Council as the government that committed genocide and died because of it. For a long moment, silence filled the communication channels. Then Krell spoke. His voice hollow with defeat. All Council vessels cease fire. Stand down. 3 months later, the Galactic Council Chamber hosted a very different gathering. Representatives from 147 species sat in assembly, but this was not the Council. This was the first session of the Democratic Coalition of Worlds. General Marcus Webb stood before the assembly. Behind him, his 4 alien companions who helped him escape, now serving as advisors. We did not seek war. We sought freedom. We did not seek to destroy the Council. We sought to show them a better path. Some have chosen to follow it. Others cling to the old ways. That is their right. But they will never again have the power to quarantine a species or enforce tyranny through overwhelming force. He paused, looking across the assembled species. One kick. That is what they said ignited humanity's rage. But it was not rage. It was recognition. Recognition that we were not alone in suffering under unjust authority. Recognition that freedom is a universal right. Recognition that change is possible if we stand together. The assembly responded with sounds of approval in hundreds of languages. Alina Reeves joined Marcus at the podium. We propose a new principle for galactic civilization: the right of self-determination for all species. The prohibition of forced quarantines, the requirement of mutual consent for any interstellar governance. Let us build a galaxy where power serves justice. The vote was unanimous. In the observation gallery, Chancellor Krell watched with bitter acceptance. His dominion block had been reduced to a shadow. Species were abandoning the old council daily, but he was not imprisoned. The Democratic Coalition offered amnesty to all former council leadership who acknowledged their mistakes. It was a generosity he would never have shown as the assembly adjourned. Marcus and his companions stood together, looking out at the stars. "What will you do now?" Crix asked. "You are a general without a war." Smiled. "I am a general with a different mission, helping species transition from oppression to freedom, teaching them what Earth learned. That true strength comes not from weapons, but from the courage to stand firm." "Humanity's revenge," Dalna observed. "No, humanity's gift. We show them how to be free. That is a far greater legacy than vengeance." Far above, Earth's remaining phantom ships patrolled alongside vessels from dozens of species. The Shadow Fleet had become the guardian force of a new galactic order, and on Earth 4 billion people watched the stars with hope instead of fear. Knowing they were part of something larger, the galaxy had tried to cage humanity. Instead, humanity taught the galaxy how to break free. One general's kick had indeed changed everything, but it was not the kick that mattered. It was what humanity chose to do next. Retry Claude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses. Sonnet 4.5